Recent past when there were allegations that Facebook is partial towards the ruling party in the country, that is the BJP. But now it seems there is more to it than meets the eye. What really is the story behind the alleged bias by this social media giant? On the eve of the crucial elections parliamentary committee meet, Times Now has accessed a 2019 email, an email that was sent just before the crucial elections of the Lok Sabha last year, that will change the debate altogether. This email was written by BJP's IT head Amit Malviya to a Facebook employee in the run-up to the polls, and this email reveals that the BJP wanted balance and not bias. In the email, BJP IT cell chief Amit Malviya is seen requesting for a more transparent algorithm-based marking system to block online hate. This email, in fact, seems to fly in the face of allegations that Facebook is biased towards the ruling dispensation and the BJP. First, let me cut across to Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan and get you details of this email itself. So we know one side. We had a series of newspaper articles and reports, Madhav, which says that a Facebook executive, and this is what those reports said, deliberately decided to give cover to so-called hate mongers of the BJP. What does this email show?
Well, in fact, Padmaja, this email of, Amit Malviya to an employee of Facebook at the time, Shivnath Thukral, and is dated the 13th of February 2019, which is, of course, a couple of months before the elections actually came into effect here. But what I would just like to quote about two sentences from this email, if I may. And this says that our request for a more transparent and algorithm-based marking up or down of a post hasn't found favor with Facebook, which otherwise fancies itself as a technology company and not as a publisher. Doing more of the same thing, having more fact checkers and too much discretion is unlikely to remedy the current situation. If at all, will make it worse. The current process of fact checking is censorship by stealth, and unless Facebook reverts to our suggestion of at least letting the user decide on the quality of posts without clearing the property, even when presented by an alternative perspective by a fact checker, I'm afraid we are not getting anywhere. And of course, what this basically means, what the BJP is trying to convey over here, is that they are asking for more fairness and a lack of bias as far as the fact-checking process is concerned. There should be a more transparent process as far as fact-checking is concerned, and they are saying that Facebook should retain its role as a technological company and not get into editorializing, which could further lead to ideological bias as far as this fact-checking process is concerned. That's
okay, it's interesting that you bring up this issue of fact-checking, because to that effect, we had a letter just written today, Madhav, by the IT Minister of India, Ravi Shankar Prasad, to the chief executive of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. Let me quickly go across to Vivek Narayan and get to you the details of the letter which has been written by the Law and IT Minister. Over to you.
Well, very strongly worded letter written by the Union Information and Technology Minister to Mark Zuckerberg. He's saying in no uncertain terms that the government wanted, and in fact his party in May 2019 wanted level playing field. They have almost accused, I say, because they have said the onus is on a transnational company like Facebook to ensure that the fact-checking that they do, the things that they give to third parties, they outsource, have to be done with extreme care. Let's look at the letter that the IT Minister, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, has written to Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. He writes, after the initial greetings, he goes on to the third paragraph. Is interesting. I'll just blow it up so that you can see it better. However, we have seen that in the last few months, things that we have seen in the last few months goes contrary to achieving the stated goals of Facebook. I have been informed that in the run-up to 2019 general elections in India, there was a concerted effort by Facebook India management not just to delete pages or substantially reduce their reach, but also offer no recourse or right to appeal to affected people who are supportive of the right of center ideology. I'm also aware that dozens of emails written to Facebook management received no response. The above documented cases of bias and inaction are seemingly a direct outcome of the dominant political beliefs of individuals in your Facebook India team. As a transnational digital platform, Facebook must not only be fair and neutral, but also visibly seen to be so to users of diverse beliefs and ideologies. Individuals working in any organization have their own individual likes and dislikes, but essentially,
yes,
Padmaja, the line is very clear. The minister, the party, everybody and the government is on the same page.
All right. Thanks very much, Vivek and Madhav, for having joined us. Let me quickly take this across to our panel. Joining us now, we have Neha Joshi, spokesperson of the BJP, Anurag Bhadoria, spokesperson Samajwadi Party, senior journalist Ashutosh Mishra, and political analyst Tausifur Rahman. I want to start by asking you, Mr. Anurag Bhadoria, that here the letter seems to suggest that if anything, BJP thinks they are the ones facing a bias. Amit Malviya is saying कि आप हमारे पेजेस क्यों हटा रहे हैं इलेक्शन के पहले? जो भी राइट विंगर हैं, जो भी बीजेपी सपोर्टिंग हैं, आप उनको विक्टिमाइज कर रहे हैं।
देखिए, मुझे अभी तक एक बात समझ में नहीं आई। इतने दिनों से हम लोग भी बात को उठा रहे हैं कि फेसबुक पे लगातार जो हेट स्पीचेस आते हैं खासकर बीजेपी की तरफ से या किसी और पार्टी की तरफ से, जनरली ये गाली गलौज इस टाइप का जो फेसबुक पे पोस्ट होते हैं, सरकार इस पे कानून क्यों नहीं लेके आती? इतना बड़ा लेटर तो वो लिख रहे हैं फेसबुक के हेड को, लेकिन वो सरकार एक कानून लेके आए है ना कि इस तरह के हेट स्पीचेस फेसबुक पे नहीं होंगे। फेसबुक पे इस तरह की जो हेट स्पीच देगा या जो सोशल मीडिया पे गाली गलौज करेगा या उनके जो वीडियोस होंगे।
सर, आप मेरा जवाब नहीं दे रहे। आई वांट टू टेल यू, देयर इज अ लेडी कॉल्ड अंकी दास। शी इज विद फेसबुक, शी हैंडल्स पॉलिसी। पिछले 2 हफ्तों में देयर हैज बीन अ कैंपेन सेइंग अंकी दास को हटाओ, अंकी दास को हटाओ, अंकी दास को हटाओ, बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाट शी हैड सेड ऑन हर पर्सनल अकाउंट। नाउ यू हैव रविशंकर प्रसाद, जो कि हमारे आईटी मिनिस्टर हैं, जो कह रहे हैं कि फेसबुक के एम्प्लॉइज हैं जो कि ओपनली कांग्रेस के लिए कैंपेनिंग कर रहे हैं। टेक्निक तो फिर उनको भी हटा देना चाहिए। और अगर गोइंग बाय दोस पर्सनल पोस्ट, फेसबुक इज एंटी बीजेपी एंड प्रो कांग्रेस।
मुझे अभी भी ये बात समझ में नहीं आई कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी को इतना, जिसको सबसे ज्यादा अगर सोशल मीडिया को किसी ने इस्तेमाल किया है तो बीजेपी ने किया है। लास्ट 6 सालों से अगर सोशल मीडिया का मैक्सिमम यूज अगर किसी ने किया है तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने किया है। हेट स्पीचेस के वजह से किया।
सर, आप मेरे फिर भी जवाब नहीं दे रहे। मैं आपसे ये पूछ रही हूँ कि अगर बीजेपी वाज कंट्रोलिंग फेसबुक, तो व्हाई वुड इट्स मेन आईटी सेल चीफ राइट टू फेसबुक एंड से कि भाई हमारे को प्रताड़ित करना बंद कीजिए?
फेसबुक के चीफ को लिखने से फायदा है, इससे अच्छा कानून बना दो अपने देश के अंदर में कि सोशल मीडिया पे ये जो जिस तरह की हेट स्पीचेस होती हैं, जो वीडियोस आते हैं जो किसी भी कास्ट से रिलीज से रिलेटेड होगा, उसके ऊपर कार्रवाई होगी। ऐसा क्यों नहीं बनाते आप ये नाटक करने की क्या जरूरत है कि दिखाने की हमने चिट्ठी लिखी, हमने लेटर वहाँ पे पोस्ट किया किया?
नेहा जोशी,
आप यहीं पे कर दो ना, हमारे देश में कानून बना लो, पता चल जाएगा। कानून क्यों नहीं बना?
जस्ट टू पुट ऑन रिकॉर्ड कि अनुराग जी, आपने अभी तक मेरे सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया। अब आप एक अलग टैंजेंट पे चले गए कि एक लॉ बनाई जाए। आपने अभी भी मेरे सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया।
मेरा फेसबुक अकाउंट
फ्रैंकली वी गॉट वेरी ओके। एनीवे, ओके, चलिए नेहा जोशी, आप जवाब
देने दीजिए। पद्मजा मुझसे सवाल पूछ रही हैं।
गो ऑन।
थैंक यू पद्मजा। पद्मजा, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, दिस क्लासिक केस ऑफ व्हाटअबाउटरी। आपने जो सवाल पूछा उन्होंने पूरी तरीके से डॉज कर दिया। और इंटरेस्टिंग बात यह है कि मनीष तिवारी जी, when मनीष तिवारी wrote a letter to Facebook management in 2019 in the run-up to the elections, where he actually proposed that one of his policy advisors, who actually is a lobbyist in the US, he tried to use the services of a lobbyist. And lobbying is illegal in India. So why does a Congress member of Parliament need to hire a policy advisor in the US? It beats me, really. So I didn't see Anurag Bhadoria questioning that. However, coming to the point, what Ravi Shankar Prasad ji has mentioned in his letter, that most of these fact-checking agencies are merely propaganda agencies. Facebook cannot just absolve itself of its responsibility to check the content that is being posted. In the run-up to the 2019 elections, we saw a kind of an assault on right-wing Facebook pages, pages that have been running for years and years, where the content had been shared and appreciated by a lot of people. It was removed on the pretext of hate speech, on the pretext of a certain bias, and all of this effort.
You are saying bias to you, Neha Joshi, but the entire panel over here is saying that you've got Miss Das there to do your bidding, and which is why T. Raja Singh gets a free run.
Padmaja, Anki Das is being hounded for being pro-BJP. The same Anki Das, we are saying, is posting glorious, posts full of praises for Aam Aadmi Party and Trinamool Congress. Vijaya Murthy heads the government outreach on Facebook. He's worked for Rahul Gandhi for 10 years and openly supports him across social media platforms. Siddharth Majumdar, public policy lead at FB.
Ashutosh Mishra, and since when does a person's relationship, personal relationship, or whose sister, whose brother they are, if that's going to start deciding, then nobody can work anywhere. Everyone has a family, right?
The problem here is not that everybody has a family. The problem here is that when you are supposed to act in a neutral way, and in this case you have already taken the name of the person who is accused of being biased towards BJP, you
Mr. Mishra, what is neutrality? Basically, neutrality is a euphemism for if you agree with me, you are neutral. If you do not agree with me, then you are biased.
Prasad and Amit Malviya were uncomfortable with was there were people who were challenging this monopoly of Ankhi Das to dish out anything.
Sir, you are talking about a monopoly. I am quoting to you, and I don't want to name those individuals, but those individuals' names have also been discussed. Those who seem to be very pro-Congress when it comes to their own personal social media pages. But you've got Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad today writing, it is problematic when Facebook employees are on record abusing the Prime Minister and senior cabinet ministers of India while still working for Facebook India and managing important positions. Now, if somebody is working for Facebook and abusing the Prime Minister, is he or she neutral or not? Is that person neutral?
BJP is facing the heat today.
And should that person continue to work for Facebook? Then it should apply to everyone, no?
And Padmaja, these are just not any employees. These are the employees who are driving the policy at Facebook. They are the ones who are censoring, driving content.
That is the whole problem.
From 2019, you are facing also
that these.
It is something which is coming back.
Mr. Rahman, just a second. I think Mr. Mishra has a point to make, so let him finish, then you come in. Yes. So let me ask you this. If a Facebook employee, while working for Facebook, abuses the Prime Minister, does he or she qualify as neutral? Yes, no? Ashutosh Mishra.
Anybody and everybody who, while taking a decision in which he is supposed to be neutral, like Ankhi Das, his or her bias affect that decision, is not fit for that post. In this particular
so you are saying
case,
that people who are working for social media platforms and are abusing the Prime Minister should be sacked? Yes, no?
If those people
Yes,
while taking
no.
a decision to take down a post,
yes
but
or no? Should people who work for social media giants who are arbitrating what others see, if they are abusing the Prime Minister from their personal accounts, they should be sacked?
Pro-BJP people do not have any opposition in Facebook to their dictatorship, then it's a problem. That's the problem here. That Ankhi Das is uncomfortable with people who are BJP.
I had a very simple expectation from you of yes or no, but sir, then obviously since you don't want to answer in the affirmative, now you have gone about, talking about responsibility, etc. Anyhow, I think Randeep Singh Surjewala has just responded to what Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad has written. You have Randeep Singh Surjewala looking at responding and saying that this is a nexus and this is only an attempt to engage in damage control. All right, so he said Modi government comes to the rescue of prejudiced offenders of Facebook. India as the ugly nexus is exposed. Can the ilk of Miss Ankhi Das, yes, there she is, named again, hide behind Sri Ravi Shankar Prasad and his lame duck letters in their defense? Priyanka Deo. It's the pot calling the cattle black. Says Mr. Surjewala. Yes, Priyanka Deo.
Oh man, I absolutely agree with you, because the fact of the matter is this, whole hate speech allegation, the whole bringing Ankhi Das in the picture in the first place, it's just a facade. What the left lobby really wants is the amount of censorship that they have and that they have enjoyed over mainstream media and that they still enjoy over mainstream media. So I myself have had a problem with this. On my personal social media handles, I get trolled, as you said before, if you're pro-government, if you're pro-establishment, you get trolled, you get called a bhakt, you get called a fascist. But as long as you don't agree with it, then you're the best person and the most intellectual person ever. So now the truth of the matter is that with Facebook, it's a social media platform. It's not a mainstream news platform. Okay. But what's happened over the past couple of years, I would say, is that it's gone from just a networking site to now a full-fledged news site. So it's definitely included in the media as well. Okay. The problem is that netizens are also a big part of these platforms and they are calling out. And I think Facebook has done a good job of really censoring any misreporting, censoring fake news, censoring all these sensationalist stories, censoring, it's not just about anti-establishment.
Okay, so you're saying, interesting that you're saying far from being an, far from being an agent of the dispensation, Facebook is trying to be as neutral as possible, and they are being pressured.
Yes,
because there is a pressure group which is now working on them.
As you said
I have to take a very quick break at this point, Priyanka Deo. There's still three. There is Geeta Bhatt and two gentlemen who haven't spoken yet. I'll come back to you, Geeta Bhatt and Mr. Rahman, but give me a minute. I'm back after this break. Back, the ongoing fight over the neutrality of social media platforms and whether they show bias towards a political party seems to have taken a twist with a letter that Times Now has accessed, written by Amit Malviya to Facebook, saying that it was the right wing which was being discriminated against Geeta Bhatt. But isn't the larger issue that ultimately it's the consumer who should decide rather than employees of the platform?
Yes, absolutely. You see, most of the social media platforms are basically, when initially they became popular and came into existence, it was basically it was the common people who got a voice, and it was a very empowering movement for everyone, in the whole of the society. But lately it seems that it has become more like a double-edged sword. It has been used, misused, and the whole controversy which has erupted, it has to be noticed that there is a particular article which came in Wall Street Journal, a newspaper which is there in America, and which has the kind of bias it has for the Prime Minister of India, that we all are very aware of it. Now, based on that, there have been, suddenly the opposition has started questioning and making a lot of allegations. But let us not forget that when Congress party and their leaders, when they are making such allegations, let us not forget that the allegations about Cambridge Analytica and the allegation that they paid to amount of around 2.5
Okay, individual examples can be picked up to allege bias, but the larger issue of who gets to decide what is acceptable and what is bias, that never gets addressed. I'm sorry, there's breaking news coming in, so I'll have to thank all of our guests. News just coming in, one of the drug peddlers who has been arrested in the recent past confesses that he has links to Shouvik Chakrabarti. What are the kind of links? Let's get our reporter on the phone line. We have Siddhant now with us. Who is this person? What kind of links, Siddhant?
Well, you see, Padmaja, we broke it at around 5:30 that the peddler who has been detained and arrested by NCB at this point in time and he's being grilled has direct links with Chakrabarti. Now, our sources in agency are confirming to us that he has direct links with Shouvik Chakrabarti, and those links have been established. Now, agency is not ready to reveal the name of this peddler because they feel that he's going to speak out, he's going to give more names to the agency which can help in the investigation. But Goa route has been intercepted. One person called Mohammad Faisal has been intercepted in Goa, and he works at a cafe in Kalumgate. And at the same time, Padmaja, Gaurav Arya also belongs to Goa. Now, the fact here is that this is a big breaking that we're getting for our viewers. For the first time, NCB has managed to nail down on a person who is linked with Chakrabarti, and we have been assured that very soon agency not just come out with the name, but the exact links he has with the Chakrabarti and how this entire cartel was working in maximum.
Okay,
city.
Is this only about having a link, or is this also, what are your sources telling you about actual supplying of narcotic substances?
Well, that's what, Padmaja, they are extremely tight-lipped. It's only the news they are confirming to Times Now that, yes, they do have certain links with the Chakrabarti. What they are exactly, when was those drugs smuggled, were they in constant touch, or were they in part of a cartel? All these things are something which will come up in a coming days. But for now, we can confirm that person has the links have been established, and those links are coming up in an investigation.
All right. For now, thanks very much, Siddhant. This is a very interesting piece of news. We'll wait for more details to come out of exactly what is the nature of this confession. Taking a very quick break, more on the other side. Welcome back. Staying with the big news break of the moment, one of the drug peddlers who's been arrested by the Narcotics Control Bureau. Remember, after Times Now's investigation into the drug nexus that exists across cities, especially in the Hindi film industry, now one of the peddlers arrested has allegedly confessed to having links with Ria's brother, Shouvik Chakrabarti. All right, Tamal Saha is now joining us live from Mumbai. All right, Tamal, tell us more of what you are learning.
Well, that's right. You know, NCB had picked up two individuals in the afternoon, and they were taken to the NCB headquarters here in Mumbai. And thereafter, Times now learned that out of the two people, one who has been, who has been now shown arrested, has admitted to be having connections with Shouvik Chakraborty, that is Rhea Chakraborty's brother. Now, this becomes extremely significant. Primarily because of two reasons. Number one, NCB is independently investigating the larger drug nexus which is existing in the tinsel town of Mumbai, and there they have found one person who has clear connections with Bollywood, at the same time with Shouvik Chakraborty, and at the same time, when it comes to Sushant Singh Rajput's mysterious death case, it is equally significant because Sushant Singh Rajput's family had been alleging that Rhea Chakraborty, in connivance with others, allegedly had been administering drugs without the knowledge of Sushant Singh Rajput, and thus they call it nothing but an act of manipulation. So now, even though Rhea Chakraborty have given indications that Sushant Singh Rajput was into marijuana while she was giving interviews to selected few channels, it is now coming to light that Shouvik Chakraborty, Rhea Chakraborty's own brother, who had shared a kind of camaraderie with Sushant Singh Rajput, was even part of Sushant Singh Rajput's business venture along with Rhea Chakraborty. His name has been taken by one of the peddlers who has been picked up by NCB. So at this point in time, it is a very significant development because NCB has been given the mandate to clean up the system and, most importantly, catch hold of these drug peddlers. You know, there are several Bollywood bigwigs who have kind of come out in open suggesting that it is about time that Bollywood gets cleansed completely, including Kangana Ranaut. And so at this juncture where NCB has come out and made a certain arrest, it is a huge action on the ground, and this action, NCB sources say, would continue as the investigation continues, like the CBI investigation into Sushant Singh Rajput's mysterious death continues. Today is the 14th day. 12 days of extensive interrogation has been on, and just a short while back, Padmaja, we saw Rhea Chakraborty's parents, Indrajit Chakraborty and Sandy Chakraborty, leaving the DRDO guest house. We also saw the Shruti Modi, former manager of Sushant Singh Rajput, leaving the DRDO guest house. Interestingly, Samuel Miranda is still inside, Suved Lohia is still inside, and Jaya Saha. She is also very much inside the DRDO guest house. The CBI is questioning with these three crucial individuals definitely on, along with the other usual characters you have seen every day almost, like Keshav, Neeraj, Siddharth Pitani. They are also inside. Now we have taken three names like Jaya Saha and also Samuel Miranda along with Suved Lohia. The reason being their names have cropped up in WhatsApp chat history that Rhea Chakraborty had Sushant Singh, with Sushant Singh Rajput in a group that Sushant Singh Rajput was part of, and that those conversations are quite indicative in nature that they were probably trying to procure or score quote-unquote drugs. Allegedly were trying to score drugs. So their questioning inside the CBI office is extremely significant. Jaya Shah has maintained conspicuous silence. She had been the former talent manager who had been associated with Sushant Singh Rajput. She had shied away from taking media questions. She has blocked media, but then her interrogation continues. And in fact, Jaya Shah is one of is that individual who in the WhatsApp conversation had suggested that 3 to 4 drops of CBD should be added in the drinking consumable of Sushant Singh Rajput and wait for 30 to 40 minutes for that to kick in. So their questioning session is still on, and at the moment we know, as a matter of fact, Rhea Chakraborty's parents have been let off. They have left. Shruti Modi has left. But then their investigation continues, which means we have to wait and see whether Rhea Chakraborty is called back again, where Shruti Modi is called back again, and what time, most importantly, Jaya Shah gets released or Samuel Miranda gets released. Back to you.
All right, stay with me, Tamal, because we also have Mohit Sharma joining us live from the spot where the interrogation is happening. Now, what is the line of questioning that was taken today? Because after the initial questions that were asked of Rhea Chakraborty and her brother, now today her parents, Lieutenant Colonel Chakraborty, and her mother have also been questioned. What about? Mohit.
Well, Padmaja, from what I could really make out from the question, yes. From what I could really make out from the question, while right now, Gaurav Arya still happens to be, being quizzed at this particular point by ED. It's been almost, 9 hours of questioning, continuous questioning that he's been through today. And post that, twice he's been already summoned. So obviously, the questioning is something that is continuously on. And with regards to specific conversations that he really had with Rhea Chakrabarti, the family had, Sushant Singh Rajput's family really had claimed, ever since the news of his death broke out, that, he was being given certain drugs. And the conversation which was revealed on Times Now very clearly, showed that in fact Rhea was in touch with Gaurav Arya, and there was certain drugs which were also involved. She wanted to purchase. There was some possession and deliverance of these drugs as well. So all of that bit, along with the business of Gaurav Arya, is something that the ED is really questioning him on at this particular point. However, on the other hand, it's interesting to note the fact that NCB has also made huge leap forwards when it comes into the investigation. The two men who've been arrested today by the NCB clearly have claimed that they know Souvik Chakrabarti, Rhea's brother. And interestingly, these are the same men who've been arrested, in line with the continuous raids which are on in a joint operation rather of the Delhi and Mumbai NCB. So obviously, this nexus of drugs and transactions of possible money trail is something that all agencies are collectively working on. The CBI had obviously called in Rhea's parents today. They were quizzed for many hours today. And right now what we can tell you is the fact that Gaurav Arya is still being quizzed as we speak. Obviously, there are certain details which are being sought from him by the ED. The CBI, obviously being the point person, would now then take these statements submitted to the ED, to the NCB, and all the information that they've managed to gather, and then corroborate with all the statements they have acquired from various people who've been already quizzed by them. So all in all, it's a three agencies working together collectively to bring down the nexus which essentially has been working. And the kind of links that are now coming out are somewhat which we really should be ready for at this particular point. More importantly, like I was pointing it out, Gaurav Arya's interrogation has already been reached into in its 9th hour as we speak. There have been multiple arrests by the NCB as well. So all in all, there seems to be some headway in the investigation, and we're still waiting as to what would come out of all the investigation which is being carried out by the CBI, by the NCB and the ED.
All right, let's also play out, because today something very interesting happened. Shruti Modi's lawyer, Ashok Saraogi, has given big names of people who are involved, people who are linked to this case, and people who are also linked to big names in the film industry. We're going to play out what Ashok Saraogi has said, because that could really form the bedrock of the investigation as it progresses. What's most startling is that when Ashok Saraogi spoke to Times Now Siddhant, he said that after taking these names, he fears for his life.
Now, as far as drugs are concerned, it's a very common thing in the film industry. If you remember, one of the TV actresses has committed suicide, and her boyfriend was in the clouds, and there was a news that he was supplier of the drugs. There were other news also, like Mamta Kulkarni and others. So it's a very common factor. Even today, if you wander around the Lokhandwala area and the Oshiwara area, I'm sure you will be in a position to get some person who is ready to deliver you the things. So it's a very common thing in the film industry. Now, as far as the supply, etc. is concerned, it is also within the knowledge of the police authorities as to how these things are being supplied. All these drugs are being supplied by one of the topmost person in the trade, that is Mr. Khatri. Now, as far as Mr. Khatri is concerned, he is a very big person. I believe today...
What's his full name, sir? What's his...
Khatri.
Okay.
I believe that today, since I am taking his name, tomorrow there might be some problems with me also, because he is that kind of influential person. He do not have influence only in the Bollywood but also in the ministry. He is very close to the political party, that is NCP. And I must tell you his 2 family members were also involved in the irrigation scheme running into thousands of crores of rupees. They were behind the bar, and it.
All right, we're going to talk about Ashok Saraogi and play out that reaction again and what it means even as the questioning continues. The big disclosure right now is one of the drug peddlers who have been arrested by the NCB says that he did indeed have links allegedly with Souvik Chakrabarti. Quick break. All right, the big news coming in right now. Times Now learning from its sources that one of the drug peddlers who has been arrested by the Narcotics Control Bureau in a crackdown that stretches from Mumbai to Goa. This in the aftermath of the exposés done by Times Now, has confessed, and he has confessed allegedly to having links with Ria's brother Souvik Chakrabarti. Let's get Tamal to flesh that out for us. Yes, Tamal.
Well, that's right, Padmaja. In fact, the investigation into the entire drug nexus is only becoming quite wide. And now we are realizing, having spoken to our sources, the person who has been picked up by NCB today has given out some sensational disclosures, has made certain admissions that there were connections with Souvik Chakrabarti. That apart, the other 2 individuals have been arrested. Even they too have admitted that the cartel working, in the heart of the city, existing, and the procurements have happened just not from Mumbai, but also from Delhi and also far from USA. So these drugs have been procured from far-flung places. They all have come down to Mumbai, and from Mumbai, they were supposed to be shipped to Goa. So this is the chain that NCB has stumbled upon after the crucial arrest of the peddlers. But yes, we have to understand, when NCB investigates this matter, while NCB has the independent mandate to investigate the drug nexus existing in the tinsel town of Mumbai, it somewhere gets intertwined with the Sushant Singh Rajput mysterious death case. Padmaja, it's very interesting to even observe that these arrests happen on a day when there had been parallel questioning happening inside the CBI camp here at DRDO Guest House of Ria Chakrabarti's parents, along with Shruti Modi, and there was Samuel Miranda, Jaya Saha, and also Suved Lohia. Now, Suved Lohia, Jaya Saha, Samuel Miranda, their names have cropped up in the course of WhatsApp chat history, and that kind of indicates that there was some sort of an engagement and interest over drug procurement. Now, that's something still a subject to investigation. CBI is investigating, but one would want to presume if they had given out some leads, and if those leads
all right,
had
Tamal,
equally
just stay on with us, because we'll get more on this news break. That's it then from me on this edition of the news. I will see you next at 10 on the News Hour agenda, where we're going to be talking about the story behind the figure of -23.9. What's really happening to our economy?